Raider Nation, it's time to get real for a second. Do you think the Las Vegas Raiders should go out and sign Shaquille Griffin? Cause I've gotta be honest with you, this move feels like it's right on the edge of happening. Maybe not. Today, maybe not tomorrow, but it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if the Raiders made it official any day now. And no, this isn't just some wild speculation. There are layers to this situation. Real connections, actual football logic, and a whole lot of evidence that points toward a potential reunion between Griffin and his former head coach, Pete Carroll. Let's talk about why this move would make so much sense for the silver and black. First things first, the man was in the building. That's right. Shaquille Griffin had an official visit with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, if you followed the way this front office and coaching staff operate, especially since Carroll arrived, you already know that these types of visits are never meaningless. When they bring in a player, it's usually because they're genuinely interested. They don't do this just for the optics. If there's a coaching connection or some type of past relationship, they explore it. And Griffin has one of the most obvious connections of all. He played his best football under Pete Carroll when they were together in Seattle. That's where it all began for him. And that's the kind of tie that can absolutely carry weight in a decision like this. Now, for those of you who might be wondering exactly who Shaquille Griffin is, or maybe haven't followed his career closely, let me catch you up real quick. Griffin played college football at UCF, stands at 6 feet tall, weighs around 200 pounds, and is about to turn 30 next month. He's been in the league for 8 seasons, which gives him that veteran edge that could prove vital for a young secondary like the Raiders have right now. Most people remember his early days with the Seahawks, where, let's be honest, he made a real name for himself. In fact, his 2019 season was good enough to land him in the Pro Bowl. He didn't rack up interceptions that year, but his overall coverage and consistency were elite, and he showed that he could hang with the best of the best on the outside. But what makes Griffin really interesting isn't just what he did in Seattle years ago. It's what he did more recently. In 2024, he suited up for the Minnesota Vikings and quietly put together a pretty strong season. He may not have started every game, but when he was on the field, he handled his business. Targeted 57 times, he gave up just 31 catches. That's a pretty efficient clip. He allowed just over 400 yards, and the quarterback rating against him was 75.8. For someone who wasn't a full-time starter, those numbers are more than respectable. He proved he could still compete, still play solid coverage, and still make an impact on the field. And that's exactly what the Raiders need right now. Guys who can contribute, even if they're not flashy, even if they're not household names. We're talking about competition, depth, and building a culture where no job is handed out for free. When you bring in someone like Griffin, you're adding a proven veteran presence who knows what it takes to stick in the league. That matters, especially when your current cornerback room is full of young, unproven talent that's still trying to find its footing. Guys like Darian Porter and Eric Stokes have reportedly looked good so far, but nothing is locked in. Jacorian Bennett is still developing. And while there's excitement about players like Deacon Richardson, there hasn't been a ton of buzz about him in recent practices. That could mean he's flying under the radar, or it could mean he just hasn't done enough to separate himself yet. But Griffin? He brings something else entirely. Experience, leadership, familiarity with Pete Carroll's style. That alone gives him a leg up in terms of adjusting to this system. And let's not forget, Carroll loves working with corners. This is a guy with a track record of turning mid-round picks and underrated prospects into legit contributors. So, if Pete sees something in Griffin, if he believes there's still juice left in the tank, then I think we've got every reason to trust that judgment. After all, he's the same coach that brought the Legion of Boom to life. He's the same coach that helped turn Seattle's defense into a championship unit. So when he looks at a guy like Griffin and says, let's bring him in, that's not just nostalgia talking. That's football IQ at work. And look, I get it. Some fans are going to raise the concern. Yeah, but he peaked in 2019. That was a long time ago. Sure, maybe. But again, go watch his tape from last season in Minnesota. He was physical. He was disciplined. He tackled well. He didn't back down from anyone. That tells me that the skill set is still intact. Maybe he's not the same athlete he was 5 years ago, but that doesn't mean he can't help this team win, especially when you're talking about a player who understands what it means to be a professional, who's going to show up, lead by example, and push the young guys to step their game up. And honestly, even if Griffin ends up being the third or fourth option on the outside, that's still incredibly valuable. In today's NFL, with all the passing offenses and spread formations, you need 3 or 4 reliable corners every single week. Depth is not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. Another huge factor here is the locker room presence. This is something that keeps coming up whenever people talk about Griffin. He's known for being a positive influence, someone who keeps the energy up, who's respected by teammates and coaches alike. If you're trying to build a strong, united locker room, those are the kinds of guys you want to have around, especially with a new coaching staff trying to establish culture and identity. Players like Griffin can be instrumental. And that's before we even get into the fact that he's also a twin, and his brother Shaquem, who also made it to the NFL despite having only one hand, has been a huge inspiration to countless people. That family has been about grit and determination since day one. You want guys like that in your building. Now let's talk money, because that's always part of the equation. The Raiders had about $36.7 million in cap space before they signed linebacker Jermaine Pratt, after factoring in his deal, which comes in at around $4.25 million plus incentives. The team still has plenty of financial flexibility. We're talking about a potential contract for Griffin that would likely land somewhere between $3 to $4 million, maybe even less. That's extremely manageable, especially for a player who could end up giving you quality reps right away. And remember, with 92 players currently on the roster, the team is going to have to make a cut soon anyway. So if you're already clearing a spot, it only makes sense to bring in someone who you know can add value. And here's the part that really seals it for me. Pete Carroll has shown over and over again that if a player has history with him, he's going to give that guy a look. This offseason alone, we've seen multiple players with past ties to Carroll brought in for visits or workouts. That's just how he operates. He knows the kind of player he wants, and he knows who he can trust to buy into his system. Griffin checks every one of those boxes. And even though it's been a few years since they last worked together, that familiarity could be the key to making this transition seamless. When a coach and a player already speak the same language, the adjustment period is way shorter. That could allow Griffin to hit the ground running if he does end up signing with the team. You combine all of that, the visit, the Carroll connection, the recent production, the leadership, the locker room presence, the affordability, it starts to feel like a no-brainer. If the Raiders are serious about competing, if they're serious about improving the secondary and adding depth, then a move like this makes perfect sense. It wouldn't be a flashy headline grabber, but it's the type of smart, calculated addition that good organizations make. You're not betting the house. You're not mortgaging the future. You're bringing in a player who's still got something to offer, who fits the culture, and who knows exactly what this coaching staff is looking for. And again, this isn't just about what Griffin brings on Sundays. This is about what he brings Monday through Saturday. Practice habits, communication, professionalism. All of that matters when you're trying to build a winning team, especially when you got a bunch of young corners trying to figure it all out. Having a guy like Griffin in the room to show them how to study film, how to prepare, how to carry themselves, that's invaluable. That's the kind of mentorship you can't put a price on. And the Raiders, with all the youth they've got in that secondary, could really use a guy like that. So don't be surprised if the deal goes down soon. The writing's on the wall. The Raiders are doing their homework, bringing in players that fit the mold, and Griffin fits it as well as anyone. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. There's been a growing buzz in the NFL world that the Las Vegas Raiders might be making a serious move to strengthen their defense, and all eyes are on one name, Jaire Alexander. The standout cornerback known for his lockdown coverage and game-changing plays is rumored to be heading to the Raiders, and the implications for the team and their quarterback Geno Smith could be huge. Jaire Alexander has built a reputation as one of the premier cornerbacks in the league. With his quickness, sharp instincts, and ability to shut down elite receivers, he's considered a vital piece for any defense aiming to compete at the highest level. The buzz around the league is that the Raiders, who have been looking to boost their defensive backfield, see Alexander as the perfect fit to help solidify their secondary. If this rumor holds water, it could mark a turning point for a Raiders defense that has sometimes struggled to contain opposing passing attacks. What makes this potential signing even more intriguing is the impact it could have on the Raiders' offense, particularly quarterback Geno Smith. Smith has quietly emerged as a steady and efficient leader under center, but one persistent challenge has been the pressure he faces when the defense can't get consistent stops. Adding a lockdown corner like Alexander could give Smith the breathing room he needs, allowing him to make plays with more confidence and less pressure from opposing pass rushes. The rumor mill is churning with speculation that this move is not just about defense. It's about building a team that supports its quarterback in every way possible. The Raiders have invested heavily in their offense, and pairing that with a top-tier cornerback could create a balanced team that's dangerous on both sides of the ball. Fans and analysts alike are starting to wonder if this rumored acquisition might be the piece that pushes Las Vegas closer to playoff contention. Of course, nothing is official yet, and there's always the chance that this chatter is just noise. But given the Raiders' recent moves and their clear need to upgrade their secondary, it wouldn't be surprising if JAIRE Alexander finds himself donning silver and black next season. If the deal comes through, expect a wave of excitement from Raiders fans eager to see their defense transformed and their offense, led by Smith, finally get the protection it deserves. So, while the dust hasn't settled and no announcements have been made, the possibility of JAIRE Alexander joining the Raiders is one rumor that's got the NFL world buzzing. Could this be the key signing that turns Las Vegas into a formidable force? Only time will tell, but the chatter is loud and expectations are high. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.